If you're not getting the results that you want from your training or from your diet, then chances are there's something that you're missing. So today we're going to talk to 21 times female world champion bodybuilder Sarah Taylor about high performance training for sport and high performance diet. Health Explorer Neil Fellows here to get healthy and fit and stay healthy and fit and do it in a way that's natural and unique to you. Please subscribe and hit the bell. Imagine that you just did a few things differently, and doing that would mean that you would master something and get more out of your workouts, your career, or your life. Wouldn't that be amazing? Well, in this interview, we're going to explore high performance training for sport and high performance diet. And joining me is world champion Sarah Taylor. So Sarah, how would you define high performance?
Well, that's actually quite a difficult question to answer in a way, because it's a very vague term. You've got to have some sort of baseline measure to gauge being higher from. But what it means to me is the fact that I just seem to be able to, I don't know, achieve more in less time. You know, I guess I've set my whole life, well, over the last couple of years, you know, getting into the bodybuilding, the discipline that I've developed through the bodybuilding has translated into all aspects of my life. And that has allowed me to create structures and routines that minimize not only thought, but also time and effort. So for example, you know, I only have a fairly small wardrobe, so I literally rotate my clothes. That's it. So Monday it's this clothes, Tuesday it's that one. You know, I eat the same stuff. You know, so I've got this baseline of stuff that allows me to just, you know, I guess get all the admin-y kind of stuff just chugging along, you know, rinse and repeat, so that the rest of my energy and time is free to actually be much more productive. You know, so this was why when I was in corporate, you know, even being like, you know, COO, CTO, whatever other hats happen to be, running the whole, you know, the teams and stuff like that, I still did a 9 to 5, because I've got all of this other stuff so just ticking along and systematized that I could get everything I needed to do done in 9 to 5. And that's really how I've set up my whole corporate career. I've always done like 9 to 5. Once I started developing these structures, it allowed me, I guess, to go to, I call it the bonus level, because to me, you know, I don't have this, you know, these underlying stressors, and to me it's easy. Does that make sense? I'm not sure if I'm quite making sense. Like I say, it's a very hard thing to define.
Yeah, let's dive into it just a little bit more, because I love what you said there about habits and structures and things like that. I want to ask you about what you feel that people need to have in order to perform at a really high level, whether it's in sport or in work. You've alluded to a couple of things there. I mean, tell us a little bit more about those habits and structures and how you kind of created those.
Okay, I guess there's 4 key traits I think that's been the key to it. So discipline is one. Okay. Being able to do the little 1%ers that need to be done, even if it's inconvenient. Okay. You know, getting up at 5:30 in the morning, cycling through the freezing rain to the gym to train. That's not convenient. It's not pleasant, but you do it. That's discipline. Okay. A responsibility, taking responsibility not only for your actions but your outcomes. And you know, if something doesn't go your way, you take responsibility for it, rather than I guess getting lost into sort of victim mode, or blaming other things outside you or external things. You know, I believe I'm in control of, you know, I control whatever I can control, and I don't stress about the rest. You know, so but everything I can control, I take full responsibility for it. So even if it's, you know, when I was running my teams and stuff at the software company, if we didn't meet a deadline, I could have easily blamed the team, but I didn't. I took it on myself. I took responsibility for the team's outcome. I had set the target, therefore if we didn't meet it, it was my fault, not the team's fault. So I take responsibility. That's a very key one. Accountability is critical. you need, no matter what level you're at, you need a coach or some way of staying accountable to whatever it is you're trying to achieve. And then consistency. You've just got to keep doing the same thing over and over again. You've got to do the 1%ers. You know, you can't get to any level of eliteness or high performance in anything without doing the little things that add up to the big thing. So you've got to be consistent. So I think those are probably the 4 keys, I think, or core characteristics that you definitely you require to achieve a higher level of, I guess, performance.
Just to be clear on what they are, you mentioned discipline. What would it, just recap the others for me and just
okay, discipline,
yeah,
responsibility,
yeah,
accountability,
yeah,
consistency.
Nice, thank you. Becoming a world champion at anything, I think if you do it once, I think that's pretty significant. But you've done this 21 times.
So no,
extraordinary, right? So I'd love to ask you about your personal experience and what you maybe touched on it here already, but what is it that you feel you've done really well?
Well, again, it's knuckling down to the process.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, I got into the bodybuilding completely by accident. I went through depression when I was 42, and I took here's the thing, instead of falling victim to that, I took responsibility for that. I took it on myself. I took it on that I was depressed because of the stuff I'd been doing. And I realized that if, the choices I'd been making had led me to be in this situation called depression. And I realized that if I'd made different choices, then I could make a different outcome. So I took responsibility for that, and I changed my outcome. And part of that was hiring my personal trainer. I doubled down on the fitness and the nutrition. And getting into the bodybuilding by accident, and then winning straight off, set me on this whole new course. And I just fell in love with this new sport. And what I loved about it was the challenge. But then, after winning my first show at the first go, my body completely fell apart. Double shoulder surgery, torn tendons in every limb, hamstrings, both elbows, a fraying cartilage in knees, hips, everything. And the doctors threatened me with double hip surgery because literally everything was broken. And it was at that point my trainer told me he'd make me world champion. Now, nobody in their right mind would tell a broken down 43-year-old he's going to make them, or nobody's going to risk their entire professional reputation on a broken down 43-year-old unless there's something special about them. Now, yes, I had the physical potential. He said, yeah, I've got the symmetry, the shape, the proportions. But the key was, he said, you've got the mental toughness in spades. And that's the key. You can put me down, but you better make sure I stay down, because I damn well will get up and I'll be better. And from that point, I knuckled down to like six months of literally rebuilding my body from the ground up. I literally had to put my feet on the floor and learn how to put the weight across my big toe joint. Literally had to learn how to spread the load across every single one of my joints on my feet so that I was balanced. That took months. And then I had to learn how to sit down, and then I had to learn how to stand up. I had to basically realign my body completely and rebuild it from the ground up. So once I'd learned just how to be balanced, then I had to go through all the rehab for the shoulders, the hips, the knees, everything. And that took 12 months. But I've since doing that, and I think that's probably the key. Rehab's boring. A lot of people, they go into rehab and they're boring. They don't do it. I stuck to it like a leech, and I did it. And I've been uninjured ever since. And again, the discipline that I developed doing that has set me up for everything else that's happened. Like I say, my career growth and acceleration has directly mirrored my growth in the bodybuilding. And once I got back into the bodybuilding, like I said, I did this full year of absolute, microscopic rebuilding here. It only took 2 years from that point to win 11 world titles.
Wow. Incredible.
At age 45.
Yeah. You mentioned
which is staggering.
Yeah, it is. And congratulations, because that is amazing.
Yeah. So it's the mental toughness. That's the key.
The mental toughness.
Yeah.
Mental toughness, yes. Showing up and getting to the gym, as you've mentioned, obviously vital. I mean, I suppose most of us can actually show up in that way, but there must have been something that you were doing at the gym, and also maybe around diet, that really supported and helped you. What were the things that you were doing around those two things?
Okay. Well, I mean, here's the thing. When I say I'm 21 times world champion, people just automatically assume I'd probably spend about 3 or 4 hours in the gym every day. I don't have time for that. Who does? I've only ever trained for 45 minutes, 5 days a week.
Right.
Now, obviously on competition preparation, yes, I'd probably blow it out to 7 days a week, but my standard based training is 5 days a week, 45 minutes. And people are normally quite surprised it's that little. But it's what you do in that. It's because I work smarter, not harder. People who sit in the gym for an hour and a half thinking they're doing a great workout,
yeah,
you're doing it wrong. You can actually do a 30-minute workout and achieve the same results that I've got. It's about working smarter, not harder, and working with the correct intensity. So the training is key, and it's not overtraining. It's actually minimal effective effort.
Okay.
If you think about it, I'm doing the minimal effective effort to achieve the goal I needed to achieve. And in terms of diet, again, consistency. Yeah. Real, whole, minimally processed food at least 80% of the time.
Okay.
And, I have 3 or 4 free meals a week.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be complicated, but there's no junk.
Yeah.
I guess I'm, and here's the thing, I actually consider myself quite lucky. I'm a full-blown celiac. I'm also dairy intolerant and nightshade intolerant. So being a full-blown celiac, like I say, I actually kind of see that as a blessing. I'm a very optimistic person. But it's set me up, because when I was growing up, there wasn't gluten-free products. They didn't exist. I had to go to a doctor to get a script to get gluten-free products. So that, from a very, very early age, I had to eat right. From a very early age. So I've always known how to eat right. And again, I think that's given me a massive head start on where a lot of people are at. Yeah.
It's really interesting. If from all of the things we've talked about, I mean, obviously extraordinary 21 times world champion, but would you say there's things that you've done that other people who you've been competing against maybe missed? And you think that maybe just gave you the edge?
Well, the other thing is, actually, here's something that I did different. I have done different. It's like, when I was going through that year of rehab, a friend of mine who's a multiple Hawaiian Ironman triathlete, he gave me a very good piece of advice. He said, if you can't do your sport, if you want to stay connected with your sport, become a student of your sport. And I really took that to heart. And what I did in that year of rehab, not only did I, like I say, knuckle down and do all of the hard work and that foundational building that was required, but I gave back to my sport. I went to every show. I just helped people out backstage. I helped competitors backstage. I took photographs. I became a show photographer. I created a magazine, a digital magazine, and ran that for 18 months. So I gave back to the sport. I ran workshops. I did posing, so I was everywhere, and everybody got to know me. And that's really helped me going forward. But it's given me an absolutely encyclopedic knowledge of the sport. And I guess when I started going into sort of kind of coaching myself, it's given me this very unique perspective of the sport that I believe a lot of people don't have. So in my particular categories, we have our mandatory poses. We have our set up poses. Now, because I teach men and women to do the posing, and I teach all of the other female categories, I blend all of the best aspects of all of those categories, male and female, into my posing. So I take the best of all of the aspects and bring it into what I do. Whereas some people might go, I'm a figure competitor, I do this. I'm a fitness girl, I'll do this. I'm a bikini girl, I'll do that. Whereas I look at all of it and go, they do that really well, I'll have that. They do that really well, I'll have that. The guys do this really well, I'll take that. So because I've got this overarching view, I'm able to pull on whatever strand I need to bring it into what I do. And like I say, I think that's why I've become an authority in the sport in Australia.
And I guess as well, saying that, looking at the photography side of things, if you're understanding that, you're understanding what a photographer's actually looking for, which might also, the judges are probably looking for something similar, and the photographer might have a very unique way of.
Yeah, and you've actually hit the nail right on the head there, because I'm a judge too. Yeah. And when I'm teaching somebody to do the posing, like I cringe at some of the posing coaches out there. It's awful. There's a lot of people who know how to put people in the shapes. But as far as I'm aware, I'm the only judge who has been a show photographer. So not only do I put my people in the shapes that meets the judging criteria, but I make the shape as aesthetically pleasing from a photographic perspective as well. So my clients always stand out on stage because they just look beautiful.
Yeah.
They're doing the right thing for their category, but they look beautiful from a photographic perspective as well. And there's, like I say, again, that's completely unique. I have such a unique perspective.
Yeah. And we're talking about obviously bodybuilding here, but let's just think about from the work aspect as well, because I know you've been a high performer as well, are a high performer in your career. And I guess really taking that same thing that you've learned from bodybuilding, or maybe it was the other way around, maybe you'd already learned this in your career before bodybuilding. It's kind of like taking that 1% and learning those individual disciplines and becoming, I guess, an expert or mastering one thing at a time that gives you those kind of that 1% edge.
Well, actually, it's kind of the reverse in my career, because I've been on a number of podcasts, and I've been saying to these people, I said, I've got a full vertical stack of every hands-on technical and business and agile IT role. And again, there's very few people who can say that. So in my career, I've made a career out of being a generalist, broad, not necessarily deep. So in bodybuilding, I've gone deep. In my IT career, I kind of went broad and stayed a generalist. But here's the thing again, with my bodybuilding, with my nutrition coaching, with my posing coaching, with my NLP, with my photography, running a digital magazine, all of these things, there's elements that I've brought into my corporate career as well. Again, running a company, being the CEO of a company, my NLP has been incredibly useful in motivating teams. So again, I draw on all of these aspects and blend it into something that's completely unique. So you get a lot of people who've done, business leadership training, but they haven't got, they haven't necessarily got the people skills that I've got, or the mindset skills to run a team that I've got because I've done my NLP. So I don't have any formal business training, but I've got a lot of other skill training that I bring into a corporate environment. So yes, having all of these other things has definitely helped my corporate career. And I just have a ferocious curiosity. I'm a lifelong learner, always will be. And I'll go down rabbit holes in something, and then I'll figure out how to apply it into whatever I'm doing.
Just thinking, going back to what we were talking about right at the beginning, you were talking about 1% increases in what you're doing, looking to how you can achieve that. But I suppose the input, you're putting in an extra 1%, but sometimes the output that comes from that is a lot more. Just thinking about some of my workouts that, those days you say, right, today I'm going to up the ante a little, and you start by just looking for that extra rep. But as you do the extra rep, you realize maybe there's another 3 in here without too much more effort today. So you do those, and suddenly, where you were only doing a small amount of reps over the course of a few weeks, you've actually doubled just because you had that intention of increasing.
That's right. And because you just did those extra 2 or 3 because, hey, I'm just feeling particularly good, you might do 2 or 3 one week and then another 2 or 3 over the course of a year. That adds up. You know, and all of a sudden you've done almost like a whole extra workout or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And those are, like I say, those are the things that add up synergistically over time to enhance the overall result.
Very powerful. Sarah,
Yeah.
always like to finish off with a challenge or a quest that you can find on, something little that we can do based on what we've been talking about today. That would really help people with taking the information you've given us and making it really practical. So what would you leave us with?
Be consistent. So make yourself a promise that you're going to do something. Let's just use the gym as an example. You've promised yourself you're going to go to the gym 4 times a week. Do that for a month. Be consistent. Hold yourself responsibility to a higher level and be consistent, disciplined, take responsibility and go to the gym 4 times a week for 4 weeks and then see how your results.
Perfect. Sarah, thank you very much for your time. Really do appreciate it.
You're absolutely welcome. Always a pleasure.
For me, what I'm taking away from this interview with Sarah is that 1%. It's that small percentage increment that actually over time can just snowball. I think what also stood out for me was the habit, doing something so that you don't actually have to have a conversation with yourself about doing it. Sarah's left us with a wonderful challenge to get down to the gym. Will you be taking that challenge? If you do, it could be life-changing for you. I will be taking the challenge and I'll be obviously reporting that back to you in my next challenge roundup. You can see my findings from this challenge in our challenge roundup video, which is a monthly summary covering all the challenges our experts shared. To get that video and all our latest health and wellness uploads, including interviews and reviews, subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified whenever we post. And if this channel can help your friends and family, please share it with them too. Also, if you want to get proactive with your health, Total Wellness Club are developing health quests over at questly.life. Join while we're developing the site and get access to health quests that immediately personalize your health. You'll get to identify which of 10 critical health categories need your attention. You'll be able to track your progress and you'll be able to help us develop the platform. I'll put a link in the description below and I'll see you in the next video.